Yo, what's up? My name is Retro Pat, and if you're like me, when getting into any sort of collectible hobby, one of the most important things you care about is understanding the market, understanding the economy, understanding when there is a good deal, when there's a bad deal, when to buy something, how to buy something, etc., etc. And price checking something in a new collectible hobby can be kind of challenging unless there is a specific site dedicated to it. So today, I wanted to essentially cover 3 different websites that I use personally to price check video games. Having multiple different platforms to price check things on is super important. Sometimes you'll see things selling for a different price, but they've actually sold for a different price in the past. And it's good to get a more validated answer, a more holistic answer, checking different platforms, understanding if things are actually selling for that price, how often they're selling for that price, where they're selling for that price, if it's local, what kind of shipping deals. It's really important to get different sort of views, different perspectives of what is an item selling for and how it's selling. But in my opinion, one of the most underrated types of sites when trying to price check video games is actually checking your local shops. It's really important to understand, hey, if I buy a game at this price, can I go sell it in and trade it and get that immediate value? Now, obviously, when you trade a game into a shop, you're usually only getting around 60% in total value because they're going to shave off the top and be able to sell it for 100%. That's how they make their profit, right? It's how they stay in business as a local store. So I think it's really nice to be able to understand when you're buying a lot or buying some sort of video game, hey, can I just turn around and sell it for this price? Oftentimes that won't be the case, but being able to price check things via that source and via a local website, a local store, where you can say, hey, worst case scenario, I can just go trade it into these guys. If I buy this game for, $5, worst case scenario, even if I hate it, I can go trade it into them for $8. That is a really big thing to have in store, and being able to have a local store is a privilege that not everyone always has. So I think it's one of the biggest recommendations that I have, and I think it's super overlooked. Everyone recommends things like price charting and eBay, but a local store is a really big benefit. Being able to have that immediate guaranteed turnaround is an important asset. Now, different local stores are going to have different kinds of price trade-in values and everything. Some will do 60%, some will do 50%. Usually it's between a 50 to 60% range is the total price they're paying, but you should be able to check out on their website or just ask them for their percentage and sort of calculate the own math on your own. Now, I'm super fortunate that I actually live close enough to East Starland, which is a fantastic site that offers a really, really good trade-in value for most of their games. They are pretty strict on condition, but I think that's only fair for how much value they give, and it's really nice, once again, just to have that 100% guaranteed turnaround cash or profit worst case scenario. It's a really good thing to just be able to offload a game if you aren't enjoying it and don't want to take the time or the risk to sell it on eBay or some sort of other site. So I think it's a really, really undervalued important asset. Now, a great personal example of how I used this asset was I recently picked up a copy of Monsters, Inc. Stream Team from a local store for around $6, and I would have never normally done this. The only reason I was able to pick this game up and play all the way through it risk-free was because I knew that since I picked it up for $6, I could always go trade it into them for $8.50, even if I didn't enjoy the game, and that's exactly what happened. I picked up Monsters, Inc. essentially risk-free, played through the entire game, got my fill of it, neat platformer, not really for me, not really the replayability or nostalgia that I have for it, right? So I went ahead and just traded it in. So I got to essentially play an entire game for free, not only for free, but then go and sell it and profit like $2. So it's just so important to have this. And nobody talks about it, which is why I'm kind of rambling on about it so much and really praising the idea of having a local store to have access to that trade-in. All right, but moving on to some more traditional methods that people like to check, price charting. Price charting is probably the number one source. If you want to check for a video game's price, price charting is going to be your best bet. Being able to just jump on price charting and just type in a game, see it for different regions, different languages, different consoles, etc., etc. You'll get a really good history of the game's price, and you'll be able to see the loose price, the completed box price, the new price, and everything you could possibly need for it. It's super, super informative. Also, using price charting to make a wish list, to make a collection list is a really common thing that most people use. But if you haven't heard of price charting, I think that's the number one thing to take away from this video. If you don't already use price charting, what are you doing? Start using it. It's so incredibly useful and so incredibly helpful. I log into it pretty much every day. I use it as the number one resource to price check video games. What they do is they sort of take a collection of all of the sold listings on eBay and other sources. I believe it might just be eBay, but I think it's just eBay. So they use all of the sold data and they essentially compile it and create an average price for what it might be selling for. And it's important to check through because sometimes it might not actually be 100% correct. Some things it'll be under complete in box, but it might be missing something or missing like a coin or a specific little add-on. If it's a collector's edition or something of the sort, sometimes you'll go to new and you'll see that the seal was broken or something. So it's important to scroll through these to get a really accurate price, especially if it's a more niche game or a more specific title, or if the price just seems a bit off. But one of my favorite features of this website is definitely seeing the historic prices of the game. You can see like a lot of things spiked during COVID and everything, when the video game, I guess, collecting market really took a surge, when people are really interested in it and had the free time, had the expendable income. And it's really cool. I think it's really interesting to see this if you want to make investments in video games or just try to pick up a game at the right time. This is a really important tool to have at your disposal. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about eBay. Now, for price checking on eBay, you usually want to sort by sold listings, but if you're looking for a deal, I want to go ahead and input a little bit of advice or a little bit of searches that I use when searching for things on eBay, because everyone knows about eBay, but there are important, interesting ways to search on eBay that can actually help you find a lot better deals. Something you'll see a lot of people talk about, and that I'm also going to repeat here, is using the term lot or bundle. People love to, I guess, list things as lots or bundles on eBay. It's a very common practice. You can sort of add up the cost of everything and see if it comes out to actually be a good really deal for you. So for example, I actually recently fixed my 3DS. I had a pin broken in the SD card reader for a very long time, so now I want to actually start building a collection for my 3DS. I pretty much only have 2 games for it. 1 game before I fixed it, but I bought 1 more. I only have 2 games for it, for this console, that I now can use because I fixed it, right? So what I would do is there's 2 main search options that I use on eBay. I either go by auction, and then with auction, I do ending soonest, so you can obviously bid on those exciting auctions, and that's always a fun time. I feel like this is one of the more exciting listings to look at on eBay, which is really enjoyable. Going for auction and then going to ending soonest, you're going to find some decent deals, hopefully, and find people who are actively bidding on interesting things. We can go through and see some complete in box stuff, some loose stuff, etc., etc. Looking for lots or bundles is a fantastic way to do this. Or the second search that I do a ton is newly listed and buy it now. I think that auction plus ending soonest is probably more fun and more enjoyable, but if I'm being totally honest, one of the best ways to get good deals on eBay is just finding buy it nows that have just been listed. And sometimes people just don't know what they have, or just list it for a pretty good price. This is a ton of games for like $75 with shipping. I don't know if this is worth it. I see some sports titles in there like Madden and stuff though, so probably not. But there's also a Pokemon, it looks like, and a Mario, 2 Mario games, a Borderlands. There's some interesting stuff in here. Probably not quite worth it, but I think it's cool to go through and search through. This is interesting. Honestly, like 8 Pokemon games. I could see this being worth it, but I have to sit down and really calculate it up. Obviously, it takes some time and takes some calculating. My best friend Windows Calculator will help me out with a lot of this stuff, but I think it's always fun. These are 2 of the main searches that I use, and you can even go in a little more depth and do obviously specific lots. Like I showed a 3DS lot specifically here. You can just enter a specific console. Sometimes you actually don't want to include the word lot or bundle. I think that's your best bet when looking for most things, but if you want to be a little spicy, sometimes you can just look up 3DS. Some of the best deals that I've ever found on eBay are just like strings of words back to back to back. Like let's say someone was selling a lot or a bundle of like 6 to 8 games, the title would literally just be like, oh, Pokemon Mystery Blue, Mario blah, this, like this. See, and it's like all those things like without any sort of separation or any sort of like cohesion. It's a very like, I don't know if people list things like that via other platforms and multiple platforms via some sort of application. I assume that's what it is. It's like an auto listing. But you'll see that happen sometimes, and that is a good way to find really, really good deals sometimes. I recently bought, if you watched on my channel, I recently bought a lot that wasn't listed as a lot. It didn't say lot or bundle anywhere in the title, but it was a lot. It just listed all the items out, and it was a complete in box silver DS. There was 2 sealed games, like a $70 RPG on DS that was sealed. There was a sealed Switch game that was like $30. I got it all for like $60. So I really just made a ton of money on that lot. And it's really interesting when you can find good deals like that, but it's definitely not easy. You gotta make sure you scroll around and just see what you're looking for and just spend a lot of time searching. It sucks because I definitely think you need to put a lot of time into searching for stuff on eBay to really find those good deals. You will be rewarded if you search for stuff more, but it's also very time consuming. So sometimes it's just better to just bite the bullet, pay a little bit more money, get less of a good deal. Like it's definitely more efficient, right, to save your time, but you know what? It's fun to find a deal. I think a lot of people out there just really enjoy deal hunting. Even if it's not the most efficient thing, it's enjoyable. It's almost a hobby in itself to find those good deals, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really cool. I think that's a fun way to deal with video games. Alright, but I hope this video was either entertaining, informative, or helpful in some sort of way. If it was, let me know by liking the video and subscribing to the channel for daily retro content. Check out the stuff down below, and I just appreciate you guys' time. Have a great day. If you want to see a video on my entire price charting collection, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.